European Evaluation Society. I really enjoyed your presentation, Nicoletta. Particularly, I like your notion that all evaluation is development evaluation. But I would like to draw some implications for you to comment on, I mean, which you have not really highlighted. I mean, basically, you are quite rightly saying that evaluation is very often used in terms of what doesn't work, which is evaluation as punishment. And if you look at really how evaluation has evolved, it has focused on social programs in order to punish the social programs in a sense. And therefore, I mean, the implication of what you're saying is that evaluation should be focusing as well on what it hasn't focused on, which is double loop learning in terms of the policies, the core institutions, the commanding heights of the economy. So that's one question. I mean, is it true that evaluation should start moving more equitably, not only in social programs, but also in the other kind of policies and programs which provide a framework for the current capitalist economy? And secondly, whether we have tended value for money instead of value for ideas, in a sense, and we have neglected the whole area of evaluating the mental models, which in a way you talked about. But I would like to say, in other words, I'm suggesting that evaluation should evaluate the disciplines, including economics, which has, in a way, and including finance, including budgeting. You talked about budgeting. I mean, if we're talking about theory-based, what are the theories which have led us where we are?
Nicoletta, do you want to? Yeah.
Difficult to answer. Say yes, I agree. We should do. Now, first of all, I like what you say that evaluation should not be seen as punishment. I mean, that was the beginning. I think it is implicit in all what I've said. But I mean, we talk. Do we understand that we have been talking for a long time of empowerment evaluation? And empowerment means just that people find more power in themselves. And which, if you talk in terms of punishment, people just feel that they should not even start. And empowerment means that you can start from something which is a bad situation, but you can improve and get out. So this idea of development is very important. No, I think you are right when you say that from my point of view was mainly focused on social problems. But in a sense, you go with me, saying that we should take the challenge and we should enter into these other fields. I have just, yesterday, I just read something, an article on the American Journal of Evaluation, and it was talking about the different disciplines that contributed to evaluation. And they said that at the beginning it was psychology. The idea that programs should have effects on individuals' behavior, but also on experimental ways of doing, of course, Campbell, etc. And then it said, and then it has moved to economics, and now the economists have taken our field. So as if there were no disciplines in between. And I think we should take the challenge in the other way, that with the tools of evaluation, we should enter into the field of the economist. And my idea of looking at the budgeting came from the influence that I always feel from reading the books by Aaron Wildavsky. He has written that book on the budgeting process. I think it's full of ideas for evaluators. He always talks about the evaluating man as someone who is able to discern what goes on in these different difficult areas. So with your help, I think the European Evaluation Society could do much for entering into this field. Thank you.
Thank you.
This could be a good topic for the conference, by the way.
Marlene, and then at the back, and then at the front, and then I think we'll break for coffee because we've got. Go ahead, Marlene, and please introduce yourself.
Marlene Neubli from Switzerland. I'm going to talk about from the Commissioner's point of view because I think what you're saying is really very interesting and something
Can you speak more loudly that I don't hear you?
Can you hear me now? Is this on?
Okay.
Yeah, it's on? I think the problem is when you work in an internal evaluation unit, you're under the pressure of what the commissioners want too. And I think I work in the medical field where the idea is very much more on impact in the sense of proving what works. So what you've got to have to do is realize what it means for developing culture. I think you can't come up with these kind of evaluation approaches until you've actually got some sort of good basis of an evaluation culture within the organization that's commissioning. And I'd like to know more about how you think about that, what you think of that.
Okay, go ahead, please take that.
Yes, I mean, if I have understood correctly, because I'm not sure, you speak about the need for an evaluation culture. Did you say so? Yes. It is implicit in it. I understand that very well. I think that an evaluation culture means that all the people in the different roles know what evaluation means to them and to the environment where they work. And if you take the medical field, maybe there are certain problems that are related to the field that are different from those who are people who are in another field. But the culture of evaluation, in a sense, cuts across. And from my point of view, a culture evaluation is the idea of being reflective and responsible on what someone is doing in a certain condition, being able to improve their own performance and to better understand the context in which they work and the interest of the needs of the people around. But also with this idea of developmental, to make them able to understand what is going on and to create a possibility for them to express themselves on what is going on. Too often people are simply asked to say yes or no, do you like this or that? And they should be able to say, in this situation, I think something could be done better, or I would propose something different, but being able to judge what has been done and what could be done. So this idea of responsibility is, to me, is central in this new way of thinking at evaluation. And this is part of a culture of evaluation.
We have a question at the back.
My name is Susan Tamandong. I'm an independent consultant. Thank you very much for a very insightful talk. My question is about implementation. You mentioned about ritual compliance and conformity. Could you please elaborate? Because I believe that we do rituals because it is proven or because it is based on a long period of practice. And I believe in innovation and creativity, in fact, but to what extent can we be innovative and creative and throwing conformity or ritual compliance? Could you please elaborate? Thanks.
Well, when I speak of conformity, I speak of the fact that people do what they are asked to do without thinking whether it is good or bad in their situation. And one of the worst consequences of conformity is to behave according to the indicators that show that they should do something, and instead of behaving according to what they think should be done in a certain situation. So there are ways in which the rules and guidelines require people to act in a certain way, which is not what they would have done if they had thought with their own minds what could be done in the best way in that situation. That to me is conformity, doing something because the rules say that it is right to do so. Of course, the rules usually are good, but they are good also in a very general term. They don't adapt. We talk always of this idea of customization. Most programs, and now of course I'm thinking in terms of social programs, require customization, require that people do something which is fit for a certain group of people, and not one size fits all. But rules in general can go as far as saying what to do in a certain situation. Maybe they say you should listen to the need of the people. At that point, you should be able to learn by your own way of interpreting the situation what to do and propose it and discuss it with the other people. And in many cases, there is also a worst interpretation of conformity. It's just, saying evaluation should be done by that date in that way, and we do a long report saying something that has nothing to do with evaluation, but looks like an evaluation. This is a very bad habit that has been imposed. If there is not this idea that evaluation is something for the people to understand what they are doing for them. So my fear is that such a good tool as evaluation could be used in a bad way. And I propose we do it in a more reasonable and respectful way of doing for the people we are working for.
Okay, we had Franz who'd raised his hand. Now Franz is going to be talking, so you'll have plenty of time, and I'll just take one more. Well, okay, let me take two more, and then I'll be strict. We'll just take two more interventions, and then we'll break for coffee. Okay, so the gentleman that has the microphone already.
Okay, thank you. I'm Valentin Ariton. I'm Romanian, and I'm a newcomer in your society. I just have a question regarding your point on the implications of street-level people into the evaluation process, into the policy process. And I'm thinking about the current financial crisis. And my question to you is, how do you involve normal people and street-level people into a very technical subject right now? And how do you convey a very simple message, and how can you convey evaluation results regarding the financial system to the street-level people? What kind of methods do you think one should use, and how you can transmit a very complicated framework in a very simple
First of all, I could address you to someone who has written a lot about that, who is, her name is Brodkin. You know that street-level bureaucracy is a concept that was developed by Mark, I don't remember, Lipsky. And Helen Brodkin has developed this idea of the street-level bureaucrat with the idea of street-level evaluation, which means that people in the different level where they are, they can understand they can adapt what is the policy to the specific condition. So you were talking about the technical aspect. Of course, the technical aspect means that there is something that is owned by the people who are at a higher level, and there is something that is owned and achieved and acknowledged by the people who are at the lower level. But what the people at the lower level do is that they confront the beneficiaries of our policy. That is their strength. The people know what the state does because they have contacts with the teacher, with the judges, with the policemen, with this type of bureaucrats. So these people are those who are implementing the policies, and it is necessary to get their own opinion to enter into a process of evaluation. I'm not saying that they are the only one to do evaluation, but they understand something that the technical at the higher level do not understand and do not know, because they know something in a more general way. So the need to get their own opinion and to understand why they did something in a certain way with a certain group of people in a certain place is important, to have this more general opinion and to confront the different cases. That's the idea. So it is not an idea of avoiding to enter into technical cases, but it is an idea of getting that experience that is held only there. And this is very important for us if we talk of democracy, if we talk of equity, because it's a way of getting the relationship between the public. So it is why it is so important. As for evaluation results, they improve, they add to evaluation results, and they also receive the evaluation results. They are part of participants in a process which is higher than just being held at a higher level, or worse, between methodologists and politicians. So that's my opinion.
Thank you. We'll take one last intervention right here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Ria Brouwers. I come from the Netherlands, where I work at the Institute of Social Studies. Thank you very much, Nicoletta, for your very nice presentation. I think there's quite a lot of it in it that I agree on, actually.
Thank you.
Especially when you're talking about the evidence-based policy and your criticism regarding that. Now, I agree on a lot what Nicoletta has said with regard to evidence-based policy and the reluctance you have towards many of those methods. Now, when I find myself in company of economists, my colleagues or others who are very much in favor of the impact evaluation tools and the randomized control trials, I also find myself opposing their views because they tend to propagate it so strongly and to claim that that is the best. But now I find myself in company of somebody who has criticized that method very much. I feel challenged to say something in favor of the RCTs, actually, because I've read this new book by Banerjee and Duflo, and I must say that there's a lot of convincing stuff in there, actually. And so I would like to ask you, when you say that RCTs or impact evaluation methods are not an improvement, do you mean always or generally? I mean, can you also see something good in that kind of methods?
Of course, yes. No, I want to say something about this. I would not like to be interpreted. You know, I'm always struggling when I say this with people who say, there are the quantitative and you are the qualitative. I just did something last week, and they said, no, I'm a pluralist, I am for alternative methods, I'm also for mixing. I'm not saying that all what is done in that tradition is wrong. I'm saying that what is done in that tradition is good for some cases and not others, and that we should understand where to do that. But on the other hand, from the point of view of the policies, and I want to come back to the first comment, when I talk about innovative policies, I'm not simply saying innovative because they are taking into account the need of the people that were not taken into account before, but they can be innovative from many points of view. One of them is using better the resources we have, which is a typical economist interest. So innovation, I started by saying that at the moment we are faced by a crisis which is economic, which is social, which is political. And I think that when I think at innovation and developmental evaluation as a way of helping that, we should be able to find innovation and good ways of doing things, comparing the one with the other in all these fields. Policies that are more efficient from the point of view that use better the resources or are able to, for instance, being able to recognize the energies of the people that are not well utilized is a way of saving resources, because we don't need to put more money in something if there are people who can do and are able to do and enjoy to do that by their own ways and by empowering themselves in doing something. So it's also a way of better using resources. Most of our programs, we have all these polemics about the money, there is no more money. You know, people who resist the cuts says, not only you should not cut our policy, you should give us more money. And the more money is not coming, or when it is coming, it not always is used well. So from the point of view of innovation and empowerment and using better the human resources may have an enormous positive influence on the economy, because it's a good way of using the human resources and of being able to save money to be spent in other more worthwhile cases. So, we should think in terms, but we should not see the economy simply as a way of, reducing our deficit without thinking at what we are losing and what we could gain from a good policy.
Please join me in thanking Nicoletta for a wonderful talk.